Good evening, and welcome to Just the Facts, the only news story that deals in just the facts. I'm your host, Handsome Manchild. Tonight we will ask the question, how late is too late to hold a trial in Jerusalem against a rabbi, especially during Passover? But first, we bring you a serious, hard story about a man who committed the ultimate denial, but was forgiven. Tonight, we go to the streets to meet Peter Rock. Peter, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, hello. You all have all this crazy. Oh, there you go. I can finally hear myself. Thank God for that. Well, I guess you're wondering, why would somebody named Peter turn the music off? All right, thank you. Why would somebody named Peter be involved in something like the birth of Jesus? And I wasn't even there. You're right, I wasn't even there. But if you know something about Advent, then you know what it means is Christ is coming back. And so, just like you, I'm waiting for Christ to come back. I'm waiting for something important to happen, and that's what Advent is all about. So, Jesus talked to us all the time. He talked to you all the time, talked to me all the time about getting ready for his return. Get ready, I'm coming back. Get ready, I'm coming back. And so, that's what he did, and that's what he gave us 4 stories about. You remember? He talked about the homeowner and the guy who was the thief. Talked about that. And then he talked about the good and wicked servant. One was out, one was stupid. And then he talked about the 10 virgins. And then, I paused there for you. And then he talked about the talents. The guy buried a talent, the guy picked up a talent, you know. And I told you when I wrote the book of Peter, if you've read that far back, that in the end, all things that will be at hand, and you all are supposed to be self-controlled, like I try to be, not very well self-controlled, sober-minded, and for the sake of your prayer, and keep loving one another. That's what I try to tell you to do, is to keep loving one another. So, I'm going to tell you the story that happened to me. I'm going to tell you a couple of things, and I think when you see this, you'll understand why I'm anticipating the return of Jesus, why this is really Advent for me, like it should be for you. Well, I guess we ought to get to the main thing, which is probably all I'm ever remembered for, and that is the denial. I like to deny the denial, but I can't deny it. Well, we all know it happened, and it happened. And it would be easy for me to say that, Jesus died, rose from the dead. Anything that happened before that doesn't matter. But I know, looking at your faces, you're the ones who think, well, this is the guy who when Jesus needed him the most, he finked out on him. So, and you probably wouldn't listen to me if I tried to tell you that it was just part of the way I was. But the fact of the matter is, I didn't understand a lot about what Jesus was saying. I don't have any idea sometimes today what he says and what he means when he says. And maybe you have that same problem. You read the Bible, you think, well, what does this mean? And so Jesus is always kind of confusing sometimes. And so on this particular day, it was certainly very, very confusing. Here's the fact. The fact of the matter is I always acted like I was better than y'all. I wasn't, and I wasn't. I've been the one who spoke when I wasn't supposed to speak. And I was the one who thought on the occasional time when I'm right. We didn't play golf back in my time, but it was like one good shot. If you're right once, you're right all the time. So I thought, well, I've been right every once in a while, so I have the right to tell everybody what to do, including Jesus. I know better than Jesus knows. Maybe you don't have that, but I do. And I was the one who thought to make a public show of my courage and loyalty, I was the one who cut the ear off, of the high priest's servant. And it almost got us all killed at the time. So somewhere back there at the beginning when Jesus was calling me, calling all of us, Jesus did a miracle that I thought nobody could really do. And I told Jesus originally, just go away, leave me alone. I'm just a stupid fisherman. I wasn't ready for all this stuff. But like he's done to a lot of people, he just ignored me, went on and did what he wanted to do. But I still felt that way. And even now, when I look back, I think I wasn't really worthy to be a disciple. Something's flawed in my life that I shouldn't be able to follow Jesus. Well, I don't know how I'm going to set this story up, but here's what happened. We were all there. Let me just say, it was, they call it the Last Supper. If I would have known it would have been the Last Supper, I would have dressed better. But the fact of the matter is, there we're all eating, we're all talking. Bartholomew's talking to Andrew, James is talking to John, and I'm looking at Jesus. Jesus is looking at me. And, I got kind of teared up. And I said, Jesus, I love you. I just love you. I just love you, Jesus. And then Jesus said to me, well, I love you too. I love you too. I love you too. But before this night's over with, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. Huh? What was that all about? I mean, I just told him I loved him, and he's telling me something about some rooster gonna crow. I mean, I didn't understand. It really kind of hurt my heart. But anyway, we get through talking. Jesus takes off his cloak, picks up a basin, starts to walk around. We all know what he's going to do. He's going to wash our feet. Everybody's saying, oh, he can't wash our feet. He's the king. Oh, somebody needs to tell him, don't wash our feet. You don't have to wash our feet. Somebody needs to speak up. I raised my hand. It's me putting the mouth, Peter. And then I say to him, you can't wash our feet. I mean, it would be like having the president over your house and taking him to Denny's. You just can't do it. And he looks at me straight in the eye. And he says, and you can't have anything to do with me. I mean, ouch. I thought, do whatever you need to do then. I mean, wash my feet, wash my hair, wash my hands. You can wash under my fingernails if you want to. Just anything that you want to do. And he says, no, Peter, your feet will be fine. Your feet will be fine. So he washes our feet. There he was teaching us this amazing lesson about becoming a servant. I almost missed it. Well, rest of the night's kind of a blur. I just didn't comprehend. None of us could comprehend everything that was going on. 1 minute he's washing our feet. 1 minute we're gathered in the garden. Jesus is praying. I fell asleep. I mean, I had too much to eat. Sue me. The fact of the matter is, a lot of blur was going on. I stand up. Judas kisses Jesus on the cheek. I get out a sword. I cut somebody's ears off. And then we scatter. Well, later I'm at the campfire. I'm by myself. Someone comes up to me and says, hey, you. Hey, you. You're with him. You're one of his guys. You're the guy that claims to be king of the Jews. You're with him. And I say, oh, no, 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 no. You got to be mistaken, man. You got to be mistaken. And then one of the guards recognizes me. Must have been one of the guards who was in the garden. And he says, get him, get him. That guy was one of them. I saw him in there. I saw him with him. You had to be with him. And I said, ain't no way. You must be blind. I was nowhere near that guy. I mean, come on. And then some wise guy says, you have to be with him. I could tell by your accent. I always talk this way. I'm not proud of what I said. I said a few words, dirty words. And I said, I don't know him. I don't know him. I have no idea who he is. I just didn't know what to say. Then I heard this blood-curdling scream. And I hear the rooster crowing. And at that moment, I'm looking at the eyes of Jesus, and he's looking at me, and there's no escaping his gaze. You know that when Jesus is looking at you, there's no way to turn your eyes away. And so what did I do? I ran. What did they do? They killed him. Well, we're all moping around, we're feeling kind of bad, feeling kind of sad. 3 days later, we're all in this upper room, and we hear Mary coming towards us, running towards us. And she tells us that the tomb is empty and that someone has stolen the guy's body. And so John and I raced down to the tomb, and I'm looking, and I tell you, he wasn't there. There was nothing there, no body, nothing at all, just a little sheet. The tomb was empty. And we looked at each other and said, hey, what could this mean? What is this all about? Later on, we're fishing or out there not catching a single fish. And we see this guy on the beach. And he says, hey, throw the nets on the other side. So we do. We caught so many fish, we couldn't even pick up the net. And John says to me, the first time John's ever been smart, he says, that's got to be Jesus. Now I want to tell you something. In a lot of ways, I was dead. Lots of ways to be dead. Dead is dead. You could be dead physically. You could be dead spiritually. You could be dead emotionally. And I was dead. You can't be half dead. You're either all dead or not dead. There's degrees of corruption, right? You can be sort of corrupt, but you can't be sort of dead. You are dead when you're dead. And there's nothing you and I can do to raise the dead. No example we can do, no encouragement we can give, no environment we could be in, there's no education we could have. Dead is dead. You remember the story of the guy named Lazarus? I mean, Lazarus was a man that Jesus loved and raised from the dead. God performed that miracle as an illustration about our spiritual life. Really just an example. More than just about raising a dead Lazarus.